Welcome. In front of me we have the brand new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, current model for 2025, and it's the yesterday's phone with the tomorrow's price. So let's get into this. As you can probably guess from me talking about it, I am not very positively set for this device. I am going to be very negative about it. Even though it's a fantastic device on its own, the combination of price and feature set and stuff like that just makes it a absolute insult to how much money it costs. So anyway, just pop it open. From the size, for $1,300, you can already see we don't get any kind of charger, which is already, I consider this to be unacceptable. $1,300, come on, you couldn't be effed with to actually include a charger. Are you clowning here, Samsung? What the hell are you doing? They must be sniffing on their own farts for this crap, because this is like, it's $1,300, and this phone is just not great for the price. And I'll show you a phone that costs less than half of this with nearly the same kind of specifications. Now anyway, here we got the Type-C to Type-C charging cable, and that's basically all you get in the box. Don't expect anything else. Then we get the phone itself. Just a slab of glass. And we can boot it up. Come on. Boot up today. There we go, thank you. So, starting off with the display. This will be probably one of the actual things that get upgraded as they try to improve their displays year over year, as they do manufacture them, so it makes sense to try to include the best thing that it can offer. Now here we have a 6.9-inch, nice, display with a 1440 by 3120 pixel resolution. It's a dynamic LTPO AMOLED display with 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus, and 2600 nit of brightness, which, if I'm correct, this is actually lower or inaccurate than the previous model for some reason. Let me actually make sure. So if I check, so the previous Ultra supposedly, apparently had about the same brightness. So yeah, brightness wise apparently it's the same. Now we also have a apparently 92.5% screen to body ratio. The bezels have been shrunken a little bit more from the previous model, though all the information that I'm mentioning is pulled from GSM Arena, as their website is nice and clean, but I want to point out that the screen to body ratio percentages aren't always accurate from what I've seen. For instance, for things like the Z70 Ultra, it definitely wasn't. It was off by like 3%, but still, I just wanted to point that out. Now, we also have apparently 498 pixels per inch, covered with the Corner Gorilla Glass Armor 2. Now, this is one of the things that supposedly is an upgrade over the previous one, but if you watched already Jerry Rig video about this phone, it's a newer model of the Armor Glass, Corner Gorilla Glass, but it's apparently crappier than the previous one. So previous one apparently was scratching at, from the video, at hardness level 7 with his picks. This one again scratches at a normal hardness level of like 6 with the deeper grooves at 7. So it went back into hardness. Now this could be obviously, like also Jerry mentioned on the video, due to for instance being too brittle. Hardness means that things might be also more brittle, so the glass when dropped might have shattered more because of that, and easier. So that could be one of the reasons, but this is just speculation. In general, when it comes down to scratching, it scratches easier than the previous one. Now, continuing on to the back, we have what could basically be described as a just little rings slapped onto the previous year's cameras, because they look almost identical. But we have 200 megapixel f1.7 aperture 24mm wide lens and 10 megapixel f2.4 telephoto and 50 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, along with a 50 megapixel ultra wide. Now with those cameras you can shoot videos at 8K 30 frames, 4K 60 and 120, along with 1080p up to 60 and 240 of slow motion. And then at the front, in a hole punched camera, we have a 12 megapixel wide sensor that does 4K 60 as well. Now, camera wise, it's an impressive setup. Already for some time, I would argue that the flagship devices have more of a preference into what the cameras can do or what the photos are being taken and videos by those cameras. So this is, in terms of photos, I would say still preference. If you prefer Apple or Samsung or some other brand, they're all already like capturing photos that you can only spot the difference by like side-by-side comparisons between devices, and at the end of the day, the color kind of accuracy and stuff like that is preferential. So this is basically the same thing, I would argue. Now I want to also point out, if you prefer some other phone's photo and supposedly like on benchmarks and stuff like that, these cameras are worse, don't worry. At this point, like I said, it's preferential. So if you like the other one, go for it. You don't need to feel like because you're like a other camera from other phone, you're losing something. Still, most phones capture outstanding photos and videos at this point. So go with whatever you like instead of what's supposedly the best on the market. Now, in terms of design of this phone, not much has changed. It's almost the same thing as last year. They just rounded off the corners and slapped on these rings that actually you can rip off. Thank you, Jerry Rig, for showing that this is just literally an afterthought to make it look different. So yeah, these can literally pop off with force, but still, these are straight up glued on. Another thing that we have right here is brand new processor. So we are looking at the new Snapdragon 8 Elite, and yeah, this is the best processor you can get at the moment, at least for Androids. Outside of that, this device is massive. I want to point out it's a 6.9-inch screen, and the thickness is what I would consider as average, and it only comes with a 5000 mAh battery. Now this is what you might be used to, and that's fine, but this phone is about the same size. Actually, I would say it is the same size. About the same thickness. This comes with what is it, 6.3 thousand milliamps of battery. So we have 1.3 thousand more milliamps capacity of the battery in the same kind of footprint, I would say. Same size phone. So I get more charge because I use my phone, which I just brought, is using the new silicone-based batteries. These 25 released after this phone is still using the normal lithium-ion batteries, which are, I would say, worse than what we have right now, as the battery that my device has can hold more charge and charge faster, which also at a 5000 mAh battery, this device still just gives you the middle finger with charging speed at 45 watts. Goodness, it's 2025. We have phones that charge at 120 watts. What the are you doing, Samsung? What is this 45 garbage? This phone at more than half the price, or less than half, I would probably is the more accurate, as it costed me about $600. This comes with charger provided in a box, 80 watt charging speed out of the box with everything being included. This not only does little over half of that, it doesn't even come with the provided charger for a $1,300 device. Mine costed $600. Less than half of this. I don't consider this to be even acceptable, anywhere close. Now, when it comes down to internals and other internals more like, we have a 256 gigabyte storage and 12 gigs of RAM at base entry. And this is probably the one that I have right here, though I haven't checked. Right now, you can get the two different phones, or two different models of this, the 256 and 512 gigs at the same exact price for some reason, where I'm from, which is Poland. So if you're buying this phone, you might actually want to go with the 512. It's the same exact price in Poland. I don't know if this will stay like this, but if it does, go with the higher storage, as you get more storage for no extra charge. There's no reason not to. But with that being said, you can also get 1 terabyte with 12 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. The 1 terabyte is the only model that comes with 16 gigs of RAM, and all options come with UFS 4.0 storage type. Now, with that out of the way, we can talk about some less fun things, which is our little S Pen. Now, I don't know where the S is coming from because it's lesser than what the model or the previous pen was like, as they decided to remove the battery out of it and Bluetooth. So it no longer has Bluetooth. It actually feels like a cheap little Chinese little toy rather than a pen. You still have the button, but you no longer can capture photos with it remotely. And Samsung's logic here is that more people were using watches and rings to do this. But guess what? Samsung offers about 20 different models of Samsung phones, ranging from, I think, M, A's, and S's, and only one of those, being the S lineup Ultra at this point, comes with a pen. So it's very fucking ingenuous to tell people that more people are using watches and rings to capture photos when you can use watches and rings with any Samsung phones, but you can only use a pen with one of them. Of course, more people will be doing that. It's just statistically logical. But, you know, Samsung took that opportunity to give you bullshit excuse to remove a feature from the pen for a $1,300 device. Here you go, Samsung. That's basically what you deserve. Now, with that being said, the other thing that is kind of like a massive elephant in the room for this phone is that it's being marketed as AI. AI everything. Now, with that being said, the phone has AI features, which are decent. I cannot dispute that. If you don't use AI, there's really no reason to even go for this phone, as you can get the previous model S25 Ultra, meaning, for less money, and basically you have nearly the same experience. So if you're not using AI, no reason to go for this one. If you're using AI, I want to point that out, you're only going to be using it till 2025, end of 2025, as that's how long you get the free version of it. After that time, you get to pay a monthly subscription. And even though the phone is out now, and we know that this is only timed kind of feature that later on you get to pay, we don't know what sorts of AI features will be behind the paywall later on and how big the paywall will be. So you're basically buying this phone with the hopes that it's going to be reasonable, because we have no info of what's going to be taken away and what we need to pay later on to still have the same functionality of the device that is being marketed to us today, which I consider to be a scam. You're basically buying a phone with an unknown feature set at unknown price tag later on. So this is absolutely scammy, and if you're buying it straight out just for AI, maybe hold off till actually you know what you will be getting later on if you want to not pay a monthly subscription and don't even know how much you're going to need to pay for this. So yeah. And obviously, if you're watching this video later on at the end of 2025, be very mindful that these features that you might be getting this for might not be accessible to you when you buy this phone. Like I said, 2026, you get to now pay monthly subscriptions for these. At least at the time of recording this, that's what Samsung is saying. So take that into consideration when purchasing this phone. So yeah, there we go. Now, with that out of the way, like I said, this is a very overpriced device for what it offers, I would argue, as instead of improving, it took some features away from you, like the S Pen having Bluetooth. It's a small cost cutting for no reason, rather just outside of just cost cutting. If just 10 people were using it, I don't give a shit. It's something that should have stayed as it was in a previous model that is cheaper. So this should still be here. And there's no excuse whatsoever. I don't care. I don't want to buy your shitty watch or ring to use a feature that was available to me on previous models. So that's one thing. Obviously, no expandable storage. I don't think anyone thought that there would be. We have under display fingerprint sensor, titanium frame for the phone, and glass back. Again, everything that I would assume expect from this kind of price at this point. But still, $1,300 is a lot of money for a phone that offers the same as this one. Offer set is roughly the same. This also comes with Snapdragon 8 Elite. It has, I think you can get it with 12 gigs of RAM and up to terabyte of storage. This one actually has 256 and I think 8 gigs of RAM, but it's an Android. I don't need 12 gigs of RAM. I don't need 16 gigs like these come with. So I'm fine with this. And what I'm fine with is the price for a phone like this, which is, like I said, $600. It's an insanely lower price tag for what you have right here. And just to kind of showcase this, I have a phenomenal edge-to-edge display as well, and you can actually see that there's no hole punched camera. That's because this is using an under display camera, so it even looks better, I would say. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I prefer to value my money and spend less and get basically the same kind of device. Performance wise, I'm not gonna see any difference. I don't care about the AI, so the feature set right here is just a bit redundant. And like I said, if you don't care about it either, there's no point to go for this. If you do, this actually might be a decent phone for you. The feature set of AI here is good. Like I said, I cannot dispute that. But again, the price and what you get is a massive, I would say, discrepancy. This device shouldn't be costing $1,300 for what it offers, when other manufacturers can prove to Samsung that it can get nearly the same thing for much less. So I do urge you to see what you actually need from a device, and then budget your device based on what feature set you can get on other phones. But anyway, with that being said, hopefully you found this rant helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.